Okay, Eamon, well, thanks again for having us this week as usual. A couple of quick questions and then we're going to just cut to something different for Cheltenham for next week. So first of all, Chelsea finally got rid of Andre Villas-Boas. There's been a lot of talk of senior players not wanting to play for him or buy into his philosophy. How real is that? Like, can a dressing room be a difficult place for a new young manager to mark his authority? And who do you see as being the eventual successor at Stamford Bridge?
Yeah, it can be very difficult for a new coach in a dressing room where the players are experienced and have won a lot of trophies. I mean, Frank Lampard and John Terry, Ashley Cole, people like that have won a lot of trophies with Mourinho and with Ancelotti before Villas-Boas came. I think the other factor was Ancelotti was sacked having been successful, and that would make it difficult for any successor. But Villas-Boas was only 33. Some of the players are as old as him. I think one or two maybe older. That makes it difficult. He'd never been a player. He had coached Porto successfully, but their Portuguese side, they'd won the Europa League, but that's not a respected CV, really. If you're going to manage Chelsea, you know, you need to have serious credentials and serious experience. And I don't think he ticked too many boxes. Also, I think he's admitted in the past that he didn't have control over who signed for Chelsea. Now, players don't respect that. They don't. You have to win. You have to earn respect. It's not given to you as a right because you're called the manager. And the problem any manager at Chelsea has is that Abramovich, the owner, calls the shots. He intervenes. He buys players. He did that when Mourinho was there. He bought Shevchenko and Ballack, who Mourinho didn't want. Now, you can't run a club on that basis. And it was mission impossible from day one for Villas-Boas. He did lose the dressing room, as they say. It just means the players don't respect you. And then he tried to change the way they played in a way that didn't suit John Terry, for example. They played a high line defensively, which doesn't suit Terry because he's slow. He's got his own way. The best thing to do with John Terry is let him organise the defence. If it's not broken, you don't try to fix it, and Villas-Boas did. So he was doomed, in my view, from day one. As to who will be his successor, I don't think anybody, only the desperate or the stupidly ambitious, would want to go into that job. The fact of the matter is, the team is ageing, it's better players. The young players aren't good enough. They have high expectations for winning the Champions League. It's a deadly cocktail. So I think people have talked about Mourinho going back. I don't think Mourinho will go back because I think he's smart enough to realise that it is mission impossible. They don't have the players to meet the ambitions of the owner, and it's only going to be trouble. So I'd be amazed if Mourinho went back to Chelsea, even though he's house hunting in London. So I think they have a real problem. Abramovich has a real problem. Credible coaches like Gus Hiddink would have been a very credible coach. He worked briefly at Stamford Bridge for Abramovich in between managers. Great CV. He's gone to Russia. He wouldn't go back to Stamford Bridge. Now, if guys of that calibre don't want the job, it tells you everything. So I think they'll struggle to find a credible manager. I think Brendan Rodgers, the very successful manager of Swansea, who was one of the brightest young coaches in England, said this week that he was building his career. He didn't want to destroy it, therefore he didn't want to manage Chelsea right now. So nothing good is going to happen at Chelsea anytime soon.
And then also Manchester United were poor enough but still managed a convincing win over Spurs last weekend to keep the pressure on City. Which side of Manchester is feeling the most pressure at this stage, do you think?
I don't think there's any doubt that Manchester City will be the most nervous. They're under the most pressure. They have a huge squad of players. They've had unlimited money to spend. And I think an indication of how they feel is that they brought Carlos Tevez back when they said they wouldn't. He's back now after having missed most of the season. He's had all kinds of disciplines, Mancini, but they brought him back in a desperate attempt to secure their first championship. I think they are in a tough place right now. They've had every opportunity to go 5, 6, 8 points clear because United haven't played well. They've had serious injuries to Vidic, for example. Rooney's missed a couple of games. But no matter how badly things go for United, City haven't been able to open up a big gap. It's 2 points, and that comes down to one game, which United have their fate in their own hands. They can go there on April the 30th. They go to Manchester City. They win the match. Then they're in charge. Now, it's very close and difficult to call. I think the pressure undoubtedly is on City. They have to prove they are champions. United, we know, have proven that they're champions. And despite all the misfortune they've had, Manchester United, I still think they have a great chance of winning it because they know how to win it. They've been there before. Yeah. And there have been signs for a couple of months now that City are nervous, that they're insecure, they're not playing with real conviction. Okay, they're knocking over little sides quite comfortably, and they've had plenty to knock over. But, they have difficult games to come. And I've looked at the fixture list of both clubs, and I think Manchester United have a slightly easier run-in. Yeah. So I would say, no doubt, City are feeling big pressure. And I wouldn't be surprised if United snatch a title out of the fire, really, because they haven't had a good season and they haven't had good fortune. The goalkeeper they bought from Spain, De Gea, hasn't performed. He looks very tentative and nervous. Vidic is out, injury, huge player. Ferdinand isn't as fit as he should be, nowhere near as fit. He's got a back problem, but he's playing. Rooney he's been outstanding when he's played. He's a big leader for them, but he's more or less on his own. And in midfield, United have Paul Scholes, who's 37 and come back from retirement, and Ryan Giggs is 38, and still they're hanging in there. Now, if City can't win the championship, given the circumstances of this season, it'll raise a huge question mark about Mancini. They were knocked out of the European Cup, Champions League, very easily, by not great team, Napoli. So I would say Mancini is under pressure, City are under big pressure.
Okay. And then getting down to business then for Saturday and Sunday in the week ahead, what would be your biggest bankers then for this week?
Yeah, there's no big match this week. There's no big single bet that I would recommend. I think we're doing quite okay with our draws.
Triples, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd suggest again, in a very unstable league, 3 doubles and a treble draws. The first one is Sunderland at home to Liverpool. Liverpool find it difficult to score goals, difficult to win matches, but they're also difficult to beat. And Sunderland really are doing really well under Martin O'Neill. You would say, if you're putting your house on it, maybe Liverpool might edge it, but we're not. I think it's highly likely to be a draw. So that's the first game I think is likely to be a draw. They're playing it Saturday. Bolton QPR is another likely draw. Mark Hughes doing a job, but trying to do a job at QPR. They need points. They'll be happy to get away from the Reebok with a point. Bolton can't win. They're struggling. So this is a dogfight, a relegation battle, and I think it's likely to end in a stalemate. The other game I'd pick would be Norwich and Wigan. Wigan again, fighting for their lives. I think their coach is good, as I've said before. He doesn't have resources to go to war with. Norwich have had a very good season. They will be favourites to win at home, but I'd fancy Wigan to go there and possibly tough it out and get a draw. So 3 doubles and a treble, Sunderland Liverpool, Bolton QPR, and Norwich and Wigan. And one other bet I would recommend, in the Manchester United game, they're playing West Brom at home.
Okay.
And I think there's a very good bet to be had this weekend on first goal scorers. If Hernandez plays for Manchester United, starts for Manchester United at home to West Brom, I would back him to be the first goal scorer. You get a good price, 5-6 to 1. And I would have a double with him to be the first goal scorer in that game and Van Persie to be the first goal scorer when Arsenal play Newcastle on Monday night. So first goal scoring bets are good. I had one myself this week, Messi to score first. He scored 5 in the Champions League, but that was a good bet of 5 to 2. So when you're not sure of the outcome of the match, it's much better value to have a first goal scorer bet.
Okay. Then on Cheltenham next week, which horses could you give us 4 horses you're backing next week?
Yes. The first one would be Hurricane Fly, which is no surprise. It's odds on to win the Champion Hurdle. I think it will win. Sprinter Sacre in the Arco Chase, Nicky Henderson's. That's even money. It's an amazing horse. Barry Gardner thinks it's the best horse he's ever ridden, and he's ridden a lot of good horses. So I fancy that. I fancy Sizing Europe to win the 2 Mile Champion Chase. Again, it won't be a very big price, but winner, you know, a winner is a winner. And the last one I fancy is Boston Bob. It's a novice hurdler of Willie Mullins. He thinks it's one of the best novices he's ever trained. Whichever race it goes for, back it. So my 4 time would be Boston Bob, Hurricane Fly, Sizing Europe, and Sprinter Sacre.
Brilliant. Listen, thanks, Eamon, and we'll see you next week.
Pleasure.